Tension has erupted in the Abia State House of Assembly after a violent clash between Labour Party lawmakers during a private meeting in Aba over the sharing of funds allegedly gifted by Governor Alex Otti. Majority Leader Honorable Okoro Uchenna Kalu reportedly smashed a beer bottle on Honorable Akachukwu Uchonye's head, leaving him with serious injuries during a heated argument about the disbursement of the money. The altercation, which took place at the residence of Honorable Fine Ahwama and attended by Speaker Right Honorable Emmanuel Emerowa, reportedly began after Uchonye demanded a larger share, citing his role as chairman of the House Committee on Appropriation. Sources claimed the Speaker warned attendees not to report the incident, but Uchonye later sent photos of his injury to Governor Otti. Days later, the lawmakers embarked on a 1 billion naira state-sponsored trip to London, which sparked further disputes over unpaid travel allowances. Reports indicate that anger within the caucus has intensified, with some members now plotting to impeach the Speaker and other principal officers over alleged financial misconduct and mismanagement of funds. George, what do you make of this story?
I must say that this is not even something we should, hear. It's very shameful, for members of the State Assembly to be fighting over money to the point where a so-called leader of the House smashed bottle on his colleague's head. What for? This could have led to the death of his colleague because of money. And again, you begin to ask the question, why would OT be giving them such an amount of money for helping to pass what their constitutional responsibility is, passing a law speedily? He gave them the money that led to them, one of them picking bottle to hit on the head of the other. I mean, these things, for me, I didn't even know how this leaked. I did not know how this leaked to the press. If I were to be part of this will not leak for the press to, begin to discuss it, because it's quite shameful. I mean, is this the kind of thing we should hear? It's not as if maybe they were debating in the House over a bill and all that until it led to that kind of fracas. They were trying to share money given to them by the governor for speedily passing a bill. Carrying out their constitutional responsibility, they were giving money. I mean, what kind of country are we living in? This is the same OT that people have been praising is doing this. So there's no difference between OT and the Nigerian politicians. There's no difference. We are not even done with that. They are also, but just to cover up the nonsense, they're also coming up with 1 billion naira travel. What are we even talking about?
Sponsored.
Taxpayers' money, 1 billion naira. What are they going there to do? Probably retraining.
Retraining for 1 billion naira.
That's the question. That's the question. 1 billion for a state like Abia State. 1 billion naira only for the State Assembly.
1 billion.
My dear, I don't know. This is quite shameful. If I were, like I said, if I were to be there, this will not leak to the press.
It depends. And they say they flew first class to UK.
They flew first class.
And they stayed in Prime Hotel in central London, one of the most expensive hotels. And for me.
And they went there and also started having altercation publicly. And then the hotel management had to interfere in the same crisis, and the same public altercation was over how the 1 billion naira was spent and shared among themselves. What? So now, I'm interested to know what you have to say.
I think I would rather sound sarcastically and also serious. First, I wonder why prayer will be sent. They should have adopted the pattern of Akpabio, who sent prayer to their email boxes. So I wonder why answers to prayer will now become something of a public domain. That's one. Secondly, I think going forward, for those who wants to seek electoral offices, after going through DSS screening, they should also go for psychiatric and psychopathic evaluation. It's very, very important to check their temperament. Otherwise, something will happen. Then for me, talking about Alex Otti and the Labour Party, they were seen as the saints of Nigerian democracy. So it's now clear, or crystal clear, that there's no difference between 6 and half a dozen. Because if those people who are from Labour Party, that we say they are saints, we don't give shishi, That's their slogan. So now they start sharing money, public money for passing an appropriation bill, which is their constitutional right. Lawrence, for doing your job, do you get extra pay apart from your basic and your statutory pay? So for me, it's a shame that this kind of thing will happen. And they say those whom the gods want to destroy, they first of all make mad. They exhibited part of it here in Nigeria and also went to London to do the worst, where the hotel management had to intervene. Why? Because of sharing formula and disbursements. So it has shown that there's no difference between PDP and Labour Party. It's just a matter of name, nomenclature, and either party symbol. But when you talk about the persons, they're all the same. So they are not saints, and they cannot even be solution to Nigeria's problem at the moment. They can even do worse. Because they say the devil you know is far better than the angel you don't know.
All right. Now, periscoping this issue, just like Judge mentioned, a much more troubling and fundamental problem or the issue that I'm seeing here is, why did the governor give them money for fulfilling that which they are being paid to do? Considering that their job is not 9 to 5, Monday to Tuesday. They only convene and have plenary when they need to have plenary. So it's not like from Monday to Tuesday you see them dressing up and having plenaries and speaking on issues pertaining to the welfare of the Abia people. So they now start to pass a bill. One would say, was that a lobby? Or, okay, it's a thank you for passing the bill speedily. Why should they be paid, just like Judge said, to do what is constitutionally expected of them to do?
Must have
that is number one. Number two, now, part of the things that Nigerians have been talking about is cost of governance. Cost of governance. Cuts down the cost of governance. Why would Governor Alex Otti release as much as 1 billion naira for a state-sponsored trip? Like, this is taxpayers' monies. 1 billion naira of that money is released, not for the benefits of Abia people, but for lawmakers to go and do what exactly? To go for a retreat for passing the bill, passing the budget. Make it make sense to me. I need to understand.
Okay, I think for me, from my own perspective, is that they must have aided in budget padding. And in as much as they have aided in that budget padding, this is their own reward. Secondly, how will you spend a whooping 1 billion naira for an overseas trip for lawmakers? How much is Abia State budget for the entire year 2025? So removing 1 billion naira for a jamboree, because I believe that same thing that they went to London to do, they could also do it in National Institute of Policy and Strategy Studies, where they could send resource persons or even bring resource persons to Abia State to come and organize that same retreat. So it shows that the Alex Otti, which we think is a saint, it's not what we think he is. Because to embark on giving the assembly members, lawmakers, money to share for passing budget, for carrying out their function, who does that? So that means there's no difference, like I said, no difference between 6 and half a dozen.
So let me respond to this. I think that, like you mentioned here earlier, it borders on lobbying, not actually bribing. And bribe is when you give first, compelling the person to do something that is not the right thing to do, and the person receives the money and carry out the responsibility. Now you can lobby to say, do this, I will appreciate you at the end of everything. So we say Uti lobbied them with such amount of money. I really don't know the exact amount, but the truth is, you lobby people who we are elected to carry out constitutional responsibility of making law. It's obvious, like my brother said here, they would have aided in padding the budget. And in return for this, you give them part of their money.
Or keep a blind eye to certain things.
These are part of the politicking that is ongoing in that state, and just like every other state. the harmony between the executive arm and the legislative arm, where things like this happen, to have, their way in doing things. Because if you don't do it, they can present a bottleneck for you, given the way our constitution is structured. They have the oversight functions on the executive and all that. So this money, in government money, you cannot just retire it like that.
You must tie it to something.
Yes, you must tie it to something. So part of this overseas trip, like you said, they could have done that in Kuru. They could have done it even in Akwa Ibom State, any part of this country. Bringing resource persons, even from abroad, to come here, it will be cheaper. But because they have to retire those money, they have to tie it down to somewhere. They have to look for it. If you call that, they will justify it for you. They flee first class, they lodge in Zizo Hotel, their extra code is this allowance is that. At the end of it, everything amounted to 1 billion. So we understand. It shows that the state government is corrupt, actually. There's no difference between Alex Otti and the other governors or the other political leaders who are of different political parties. These are the same people. We understand this is the Nigerian way of doing things politically. So sometimes my challenge there is, why did they have to make some of these things public, especially where he gave them money for carrying out their constitutional responsibility, and in the course of sharing that money, somebody's head was laced. Let me use that word, laced, which is not right. I mean, this is something that it also shows that the leadership of the State Assembly of Abia State don't even know what they are doing. Before this thing would have gotten to this level, they would have known what is due to, what is due to any member of the House. It wouldn't have caused a problem where somebody would just pick up star bottle or beer bottle, to hit on that person's head and all that. So, obviously, the Abia State government, have shown some kind of, corruption that the whole world.
Some kind.
Yes. Because, they can justify one until investigations, are done to find out exactly the kind of, the level of corruption they have carried out. We will not know. But obviously, from what we are seeing, it's obvious that something is wrong. Something is wrong. So Alex Otti is not a stunt like people. This is not about Alex Otti. It is about the Nigerian state, the leaders. This is what they do. We understand that the executive can, stand in executive B and, have some kind of understanding with the legislature to pass it speedily. Those things happen. But when you come to give them money that causes problem for them, obviously there's a problem in that state.
Okay, very well. You wanted to say something. By the way, you asked the question, how much is the budget that they are removing 1 billion naira? The budget is 750 billion, actually. 750, about 750 billion.
Okay.
Naira. Yeah, for Abia State House of Assembly. And then 1 billion naira is being spent for state-sponsored trip of just 24 people. Abia State House of Assembly is made up of 24 lawmakers. So why 1 billion? Okay, let me do a quick maths. How much if you are to divide 24 billion among 24 people? That's about, let's say, maybe 800 and something million if it is to be shared equally. If it is 20 people, 1 billion will be. Just keep talking. Let me do the maths very quickly.
I think it's just quite absurd. It's something that should be condemned by every well-meaning, and it has also exposed the Labour Party to a great extent to tell Nigerians that the Labour Party, they are not even alternative to Nigeria's challenges. Because if Abia State, that is just a minute state, just one state which they have, this is happening. So by the time they have larger states, it's still the same 6.5 dozen, it's still the same story everywhere. So for me, Labour Party is not even an alternative to Nigeria's economic challenges.
Now, your own it's like you have a particular perspective which has a campaign undertone. Labour Party is not a viable.
They are from Labour Party.
Labour Party is
they are from Labour Party. So if it were to be also coming from a PDP state, I'm sure I will also say the same thing.
You're sure you always still say the same thing?
Of course.
I think my concern is people should start asking the right questions. One would say that it's possible that because, Alex Otti is enjoying so much love from everybody across Abia State because of what he has done, considering to the non-performance of his predecessors. So that, to a large extent, endeared him to the hearts of everyone in Abia State. But now the danger of that appears to be, it's possible that because of the organic love that he's enjoying, probably there is no strong voice of opposition in Abia State that can, pick out these loopholes and anomalies within his government. As much as the fact that Alex Otti is being applauded for governance, the areas that he's not doing well should also be brought to the fore, and so that there'll be proper checkmate. And to a large extent, people will always say, probably this is the reason why it's also, when you look at it to a large extent, while there is need for cordiality between, well, I say not cordial, but professional, good, smooth professional relationship between the legislature and the executive in the state government. This is part of the reason why it appears that when they are even at variance, it's even better for us, because, everybody will now sit up and do the right thing, which is doing the job of a watchdog over the other. George, don't you think so?
Yeah, like the recent happening in River State, regarding the executive and the legislature. At some point, when, like you said, when the going was no longer, smooth, every arm began to sit to do what they were elected to do. I quite understand. Coming to Alex Otti and, the good governance he has been carrying out in Abia State, it's obvious, from what we have seen in the media, even though some of the reports that emanate from there, shows that it is not just all what they keep telling us that, are true, that some of it are not exactly the way they appear. But I want to say this: Nigerian people, we are the problem. We are the reason why our leaders keep acting the way they are acting. It doesn't matter if it is investigated to find out that Governor Alex Otti has taken another 2 billion or 3 billion or 100 billion of whatever money that Abia State owns and put in his pocket. Tomorrow, if they call for election, I'm a realist, and I will tell you how it is. Majority of Abians will vote for him. Reason being that, he is someone that appears to have done far better than all the other governors. So the people will definitely vote for him, irrespective of whatever corruption charges or case he has. He appears to be doing something that the people were not used to all these years. So it doesn't matter if anybody comes to say, Alex Otti did this, he gave 1 billion to the State Assembly to travel to UK. For our money, this, that, the people will throw blind eyes to those things, and they will not listen to whatever the person is saying. They will definitely vote for him because he appears to have come to do something that the previous governors before him had not done. So that organic love from the people is there. So they will close their ears to whatever anybody is saying about corruption and all that. So what Alex Otti need to, change from what we have just, seen. This is not the right way to show Nigerians that you're not corrupt. How can you, we are talking about a time when things are tough. 1 billion out of the budget.
There are still so many projects that needs to be done.
Yeah, undone projects.
Abia State's over 20 years behind
other states, and So these are the issues. But I quite understand. Like I told you earlier, this is part of what you see for him to remain in that seat without anybody trying to, say they want to impeach him and all that. And even the ordinary people will be happy that he has done this, because it's like only the chop. Let me speak pidgin now. Only the chop. No one give us our own and things like that. That's exactly the point. But for me, I think this thing shouldn't have been done in the open. That's just my challenge.
For me,
it wasn't done in the open.
How did it leak?
But the lawmakers, couldn't handle their private matters privately.
For me, I think that prayer would have been sent to their email boxes without even them coming to sit down.
The issue was the sharing formula.
That's what I'm saying.
The issue was the sharing formula.
Even the sharing formula shouldn't have been in the public. The leadership of the house would have sat down, decide a sharing formula, assign the prayers to their various email boxes.
And then after that, they now traveled for a state-sponsored trip and also had a second a second altercation over 1 billion naira state-sponsored trip. I mean, this kind of image abroad is really disgraceful, you know, and that to a large extent even further puts us, I mean, it further embarrasses the nation that lawmakers of a state traveled abroad and went there to fight themselves over 1 billion naira state-sponsored trip. I mean, the absurdity of the story, as much as the fact that when you look at it, you want to laugh, like what manner of disgrace is this? But then when you look at it and what it's doing to our image in the international community, you know, it's troublesome, it's worrisome, and Nigerians should condemn these things and ask questions. And genuinely speaking, this action by Governor Alex Otti is very disappointing, because to a large extent Nigerians held him to high esteem, right? Probably because of how he has conducted himself so far. But this, to a large extent, is quite disappointing. Now, they said that there is an impeachment plot going on. Probably they are waiting to come back to Nigeria.
For me.
And resume plenary for that will happen. So probably we are expecting more drama coming out from Abia State House of Assembly. And we all know that this drama is stemming from not constitutional infraction right now, but spending formula, sharing formula.
Let me put more like you say, for me as an individual, I believe that the speaker and the deputy speaker, they are not in control of the members of the state assembly. And if you are not in control, these are when you start having dissenting voices. So for me, if they have a way of impeaching him for failure to control the house,
to share money.
No, for failure to control.
Failure to share money.
Failure to control the house and having a firm grip. You know, when we had some persons who were speakers in River State or in other states, you see how they controlled the house. No dissenting voices, everything went on smoothly. Even at Abia, see the way the prayers are going. People are getting prayers to their email boxes in the Senate, and there's no complaint.
Right. That is the point. If you as a leader know how to share this prayer effectively to the members, if you know how to share the prayers, you will not hear any problem. It will be as if you have courage, you have the man, you know, to carry the house and every other member. When you don't know how to share that prayers, that's exactly the point. Sorry, the only person that can save that speaker as it is today, if they return from that London, is the governor. And he has to pay more money.
Of course.
He has to give them more money. Because the speaker, obviously, from what is going on there, may have become greedy to the point to where others will say, this is, you are just first among equals. We were all elected. Even if you have to take something ahead, it should not be much and all that. So the only person that can save that speaker, because that fire is raging, you know, I know how these things work. The only person that can save it is the governor to wade in. They will have a meeting and the party leadership in Abia State, where more money will be, you know, thrown into, you know, pacify those other ones that are angry. Without that, there will be war in that house.
You're right.
There will be war. And the cost of that war is the greed for money.
You're right.
Cost by Alex Otti, the money he gave to them to share.